Welcome back into Helmets and Heels built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe, and I'm joined alongside Donna Murphy and Lauren Brooks. And the big story with last week's World Series win for the Houston Astros was Carlos Correa. He proposed immediately following the World Series victory. And when we were doing a little bit of research for the story, we were sort of discussing it amongst ourselves, and it was, is that the right time to do so, or should you have chosen another moment? And a few of us had differing opinions, go figure. So Lauren, tell people, were you okay with it, or were you not okay with it? Where do you sort of stand at proposals during games or after, I guess, big moments?
Yeah, certainly not during the game.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, let me just do a quick text from the dugout. Hey,
I think more or less like the fan proposals in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
Yeah. As far as the athletes are concerned, I think it was absolutely fantastic that he just capped the biggest career victory he'll ever achieve, and then he wanted to share that moment with his future wife, which I think really cements the fact that she's the one for him, because he wasn't just like, okay, that's something I'll get to later. He wanted her to be a part of that, and obviously on a national specter, because it happened immediately where there were cameras everywhere. And I loved her reaction too. She didn't even look at the ring for a while, which I feel like that's the first thing a lot of people do when you watch these videos, is they look at the ring and then they go, oh, okay, sure, if they don't really like it, or they scream yes if they love it. But she didn't. She just like pulled him right to her. I thought it was a really touching moment, so I absolutely loved it.
I love it. I think it's great. It shows that, hey, look, my night was already made by us getting, we will get a ring. Now let me give you a ring. And it's a collective. It's all about the rings, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's great that they share and they both get rings. It's fun.
I'm going to sound like a jerk because I was completely against it. I just think that as a, you just finished 162 games with all of your teammates, all of your boys, and then you play, the entire postseason, 7 games in the World Series. That night in particular, go celebrate it with your teammates. And I get it that, it's sort of the wives and the girlfriends are along for the ride, and they pull a lot of the weight at home. But wait a day. Just wait a day, and then that way you're doing it on your own terms, and you can still celebrate with your teammates. And I'm not saying he couldn't still celebrate, but then it's almost like you can't go celebrate with your boys that you just had this major career achievement, and now you're going to go celebrate, an engagement.
Completely disagree.
But you could do both of them. If
he did do both. He went and celebrated, and now he's done celebrating and wants to celebrate with her.
Well,
is he not supposed to go home with her and have fun either? Like what?
But it is from an athlete perspective. You go through the daily grind with these guys. Like I said, 162 games. You're on the road. You're go through challenging moments, and you just are at the pinnacle of your career. I just think that an engagement, as far as like the next stage in your life, should be on a separate occasion, even if it's whenever you get home after you're done celebrating with the boys, or that. And I would say this too, if even if the roles were reversed in sort of a weird way, I don't know if that could ever happen. But I would say for your girlfriends, go celebrate with your girlfriends, then celebrate a couple's occasion on a different night.
But you gotta take into account that everything he did on the road with them, she's doing at home.
Believe me, I know that. I know that.
Like when my husband, and I know it's kind of different, but when my husband comes home from his deployment, he's coming to hug me and my son first. He's not going to go, hey, everybody, let's go party. We just hung out for 7 months together.
But that's a completely different situation.
It's not. They're on the road for 162 games. You are with these guys for 162 days. That's just the game.
But you're not celebrating one pivotal moment at the crux of your career. You're not going through, I don't know, like a Navy battle, and in that Navy battle, you're going to propose immediately after that Navy battle. No, you're going to celebrate with your boys.
We won the war. Marry me. Yes, that is what you do.
I don't think so at all. I think you have a separate occasion.
Look, I could see and make the argument with you if she's the one proposing. She goes, hey, great for you, honey, but what about me? I'll make that argument with you, but this was his choice.
I'm not denying that, but you asked me if I would have preferred that, no, I would have preferred my own situation. You go celebrate with your boys.
That's because you want it to be all about you.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's what that is.
Of course, because it's more or less a situation of go celebrate with your boys. You just accomplished an incredible feat, the ultimate peak of peaks as far as career-wise is concerned. So go celebrate with your boys. Go have champagne toast. Celebrate all of everything that you can. And then the very next day, I don't know, 12 hours later, 6 hours later, then go have your own private moment with, or even public. I don't care how you do it, but in my opinion, he should have done it at a separate time.
Well, I think he, like you had said, that he was going to do it after Game 6 too. It didn't matter as long as the Astros won the World Series, and he said he didn't have a plan B. Because if I was her at some point over the next few days, I would have been like, and by the way, she's Miss Texas 2016. I would have been like, so if the Astros lost, then when would you have proposed? Would you have proposed? Would you wait until next year, depending on if you made the World Series? Like at that point, I would have been curious. Obviously, it didn't go down that way, but I think if you're Carlos Correa, at least I'm putting myself in his shoes, he was going to celebrate with all of his guys and her already. Like she was going to come with them to the club or the bar or somebody's house, wherever they were going to go. And he wanted to cement the fact that she is the person that he thinks about when he wakes up in the morning, the person he thinks about during the game, I'm sure at times.
Sure.
And so I just think that he was like, you know what, I'm going to capture all of this magic in one fell swoop, and it's going to be two of the best things that have ever happened to me happening with me.
I understand all that. I think it's commendable. I think it's fabulous. I still think he could have achieved all of that by doing it the next day.
And maybe he was nervous that she'd say no, so he wanted to do
Justin
it
Verlander and
in
Kate
front
Upton
of
got married
everyone.
in Italy 2 days later. If they would have gotten married directly following the post-game interview from the World Series, I'm like, dude, breathe. Take a minute to enjoy what you just accomplished, and then you can go into the rest of your life and celebrate all the love and happiness and whatever else you want to celebrate. But for that night, I think you should celebrate the biggest career accomplishment that you've ever had in your life. That's me.
And I think that's
marrying
sweeter for
her
him
is a
that he
bigger
did both.
accomplishment.
And he could have rightfully celebrated that after.
Well, and maybe, the other thing, she is Miss Texas. She may have wanted, or he may have thought she wanted, kind of that hoopla around it because she loves, being kind of in the spotlight. I'm not saying that that's at any point in time under consideration, but if that for her was going to be a better proposal than the next day, then he, realized that was potentially even better of a way to share it together.
Listen, wish them all the best. I'm just saying, I think that as a professional athlete, you should have celebrated with your boys first. Celebrate with your teammates, the guys that you arguably spend more time with than the girl you're now engaged with. Celebrate that moment with them. Make it about your teammates. Make it about your boys and that organization and celebrating that. And then go home and celebrate your wonderful life that you're going to have with your future wife.
I don't think that it detracted in any way, shape, or form
Really? Because
from
that's what
the
we're talking about. We're not talking about the World Series at all.
You are talking about how this detracted. I think
I'm saying,
great. I think everybody gets rings. It's Oprah's ring for you, ring for you, ring for everybody.
And that is a really nice ring she gets. So
It's
I would
very
argue
nice.
it could be nicer than the World Series ring. But I mean, I'm saying, as far as if you were to ask his teammates, I don't think they would say, oh yeah, him proposing to her right after detracted from our celebration. So I think
nobody
that's
would
why.
say that. I'm just saying, as from my perspective, even if I was the chick, I would have preferred there's something to be said about you go have fun with your boys, then we'll have our time together afterwards. That's just me.
So would you have said no then?
What? No, that's not even related. Why would you? No, you're not going to say. Nobody's going to say no in that moment.
Just say it. You said no. Go celebrate. No, I'll talk to you later. Go. Like, is that what you would do if you were her?
No, I just said that no, you wouldn't turn it down. But if you're in that situation, you obviously are going to respond the way you want to, whatever way you're leaning towards, I guess. I don't know that at 99.9% of women who are in that position are going to say yes. Mm-hmm. But in my perspective, in my opinion, I still think that he should have had the night to celebrate it with the boys, celebrate it with your teammates, and then you can take care of all that stuff 6 hours later, even when you get home. I don't care, but that was just me. That would be my personal preference.
JJ, would you propose immediately following the World Series like Carlos Correa did?
Well, he was 23. He obviously lives a great life. But maybe we're dissecting a 23-year-old's actions a little too much. But I wouldn't, because it's Game 7 of the World Series, and that is your guys' time. I just think when you're going to celebrate the World Series with all the tarp up in the away dugout and you're popping champagne, drinking beer, you never see like the girls in there. You know what I'm saying? You see like the guys that you have been competing with for years, you know, to try to get a career accomplishment that you might never get again. But you know, I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. I mean, he's his own man, but would I have done that? Absolutely not. But we always have that one friend who brings his chick everywhere. You know, Carlos Correa is that guy. But that doesn't make him a bad guy.
Yeah, it doesn't. Thank you. It doesn't make him a bad person. It's a personal preference of what you're going to celebrate for the night, because then it kind of does turn into, for your teammates, that you're celebrating an engagement rather than an accomplishment that you guys just spent the past 8 months trying your hardest for.
And see, that's where if our show got a big award, right, and we were going to New York City to celebrate it, right, through ESPN or something, and then that night I found out that Blythe, you got engaged, in no way, shape, or form would I be like, hey, we were supposed to celebrate the show, and now, like,
I'd be like, this is awesome, it's doubly awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
that's how I would feel.
But maybe we're girls.
But by that respect, the big no-no is you don't propose to somebody at somebody else's wedding. That's a celebration in and of itself. Why is that one off limits? But a World Series proposal is not off limits. You know, it's sort of taboo. You don't want somebody else, because you're upstaging the main event.
Maybe because he knew Verlander was getting married the next day, so he goes, well, I'm going to get engaged now, you go get married tomorrow.
And I guess no matter how much attention the proposal received, the way I view it is in no way, shape, or form did the city of Houston go, dang it, I can't believe Correa proposed last night. This is about the city of Houston. He upstaged our World Series.
Not one person is saying that, but within the team itself, that's just the night that, in my opinion, you go celebrate with your boys, and then you can have plenty of time. You have the entire off season to make up extravagant plans to propose and plan a happy life together with your future wife.
And I said on our show the next day, I said there's no better way to propose if you're in sports. Like, there is no way you can top that as far as like hitting the best moment ever in your career life, and then you add that to it. There's no way that proposal goes any better. Like, there's no way she's any happier than she is right now.
Like, what if Brady was not married to Giselle and he just won his Super Bowl and turned and said, will you marry me?
I'd still have the same reaction.
And
I would be like, dude, trophy wife. You're like,
Brady's been through that celebration so many.
I know, right?
All that for him.
Right.
I have nothing but love for that idea. All right, turning from proposals to Miko Grimes and drunk fans. Plus, we'll still get to where the Jaguars eat. That's all next to listen to Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Fenders Homes on 1010XL.